It's the biggest art heist in history. The 1990 robbery of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum continues to fascinate art aficionados and crime buffs more than 3 decades after 13 pieces of art, then valued at $500 million, vanished. In his new book, 13 Perfect Fugitives, retired FBI agent Jeffrey Kelly discusses his long journey investigating the legendary theft of works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, Degas, and Manet.
It's become part of Boston folklore.
Kelly, who authored the book with the FBI's blessing, says he wrote it so that the true story behind the investigation could be told.
And the reason why I call them perfect fugitives is, unlike their human counterparts, they don't have to go to the dentist, they don't have to pay rent or go to the registry to get a driver's license. So they can just sit and hide, and that makes them perfect fugitives, but it makes them really difficult to apprehend.
For 22 years, Kelly tried to do just that. And in his book, he details a case that remains his white whale.
It's never been solved. How does that feel to you personally?
We went through so many theories and so many dead ends. And what I discuss in my book is what the FBI and I personally believe happened, not only on March 18th of 1990, but over the ensuing 3 decades.
But what's your own personal sense? Someone said, end of the day, Jeff, you worked this for 22 years, you tried your best. What do you think happened?
I'm very comfortable in saying that this heist was pulled off by a crew from the Dorchester section of Boston. I think they were going to hold on to these Rembrandts as some kind of bargaining chip. Unfortunately for our subjects, I don't think they realized the scope of the robbery that they were committing.
The result, art that's priceless, but ultimately worthless.
At the end of the day, these pieces were just too readily identifiable. It drew too much attention from the FBI, and then rather than becoming an asset to be used at a later date, it became a liability.
Somebody always talks. No one ever has. How do you explain that? No one has said, this is what happened, this is where they are, I'll stand here, right here, while you go and open that thing and take them out.
First off, there were 3, probably 4 people who were connected with this crew who were murdered within a year and a half of the robbery.
True.
And I think any one of those individuals may have been the one who would have been a linchpin, who would have come forward and cooperated.
That's a good point.
So that's going to have a chilling effect on anybody who harbors any illusions about coming forward.
Kelly's book is unique in that it details an investigation that, while historic, is still open. And yet, after years of dead ends and setbacks, he remains optimistic.
Do you think in your gut that there is a person alive today who knows what happened and knows where the artwork is?
I think there are people alive today who have information about what happened back in 1990. And I do think there's people alive today who at least know where some of those pieces are.
Do you think they have been split up?
Absolutely.
Still, they sit silently wherever they are as perfect fugitives, but that doesn't stop amateur sleuths from sharing their thoughts.
There's an enduring theory that the heist was pulled off by King Charles. At the time, he was a prince, but it was done with the cooperation of President Bush in exchange for the monarchy's sanctioning of the Gulf War.
Needless to say, that one was easy for Kelly to dismiss, but his eyes and ears are nonetheless always open.
However that recovery occurs, whether it's organically through somebody dying, whether it's a journalist coming up with it or an amateur sleuth coming up with it, I never cared. I just wanted to see these paintings recovered.
Gosh, such a mystery, and there are so many theories about the heist, including one that involves mobster Whitey Bulger. Kelly's take on that is in the book.
And the Gardner heist, as you heard, the largest art heist in history, but it's also the largest property crime in history. The value of those stolen works now over $1 billion, so it's #1 on the property crime list as well.